Welcome to Sun's Out. Tonight we have a special guest. This is, one of the people that was perhaps the most influential in my solar career. When I first got into the utility scale side of things, I ended up on a couple of transmission projects before getting shifted over to the distribution team, the DG team. And I had no clue what any of that meant, right? Like, all I knew was I was getting sent to smaller projects, and so I didn't know if that was a punishment because of, like, am I getting kicked off of these big sites, or I was told I was actually told at one point that I was being sent down to shape up this team in South Carolina, that I really needed to get down there and help them get things together. And so I go down to South Carolina and I get there, and it's just immediately just evident that this team in South Carolina is performing on such a higher level than anything else I had seen on those transmission projects that are up to that point. Far cry from any of the stuff that I'd seen on the transmission side. Not to say anything bad about those transmission crews. Like the IS-37 crew was phenomenal. The Shoe Creek crew was fantastic, but we also had some interesting situations that we worked through during that same period of time. So
let's name names. Can you name names?
Yeah, we should name names. So we're going to start with Cyrus Lemmond here, who just chimed in. No, we won't be naming any names, but the point I was getting towards is, like, Cyrus Lemmond was running this quality team down in South Carolina of all FLS guys. So I got sent down basically to be adopted into the FLS family, and that is one of the best things that could have happened for me, both personally and in my career. And Cyrus was the paternal figure, within that little FLS group as far as I was concerned. So I'm very grateful that you're here tonight, Cyrus, and I want to welcome you here, man. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, man. That was I'm blushing. I appreciate that. Was a lot of kind words. Appreciate that. It's like I say, we've been working together for, I don't know, 7 years now, 6-7 years, and it's been a pleasure.
Can I put you on the spot
saying
immediately?
that stuff until 5 years ago?
Right. So, I want to put you on the spot immediately, if I can.
Sure.
Can we hash out your very first impression of Sean Chastain? Do you remember what that first impression was?
I'm scared.
You should be.
I want to say it was at SMA Flex Commissioning.
Nope.
Is that not right?
No.
It was both for so long, and all these solar farms look the same after a while.
Your first impression of Sean Chastain was during a snowstorm.
Oh, see, I remember.
Oh, yeah, Sean.
A little bit about
remembers
this.
It. Yeah. So you were somewhere, Cy, and I get this phone call from Cyrus. Yeah. It was somewhere west side of the state, west side of North Carolina. I get this call from Cyrus. It's like, man, I'm out here, and this Sean dude's supposed to meet me, but he just turned around. Like it's just snowing a little bit. Like, what is your read on this Sean dude? Because, like, it's just snow.
Oh, that's funny.
And so
sorry, Sean.
I'd worked with Sean like for quite a bit at that point. It's like, hold on, just wait. You'll see. And then y'all got put together, and that was probably the best dream team I've ever seen across my entire career. Was you two working?
Yeah, I was driving to the site to meet you guys, and I'd never worked with you before. And then the snow started to pick up, and I sent an email to you. That's the only way I could get in touch with you. And I didn't get a response, and then cars were sliding off the road, and I was in Greensboro, and I was like, I'm just going to turn around. I don't think they're working today.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Y'all's memory is better than mine. But
I was about to say it left no impression, or the fact that Sean's real impression that he leaves on people just absolutely erased that. It's probably more of the case.
Sure.
I'm glad I had a chance.
That's right.
Yeah, man. So Cyrus, I have dropped the ball on this on previous episodes. So I want to start out with the question for this series, which is why solar? Why have you stuck it out in this industry for as long as you have?
That's a really good question. Like, I guess the backstory to that is I've always enjoyed working with my hands. I've always enjoyed when I was a kid, I would work on lawnmowers and stuff with my grandpa. That was like he had a barn. We'd go to flea markets and buy broken lawnmowers, bring them back and fix them. He fixed watches. Just always enjoyed kind of working with my hands, figuring things out. And I think that's really kind of what's kept me coming back to solar, is because it's such a new industry that the technology is changing so quickly that it's just kept my attention. There's no way that I can keep up with or outpace the evolution of change here, and just the new technologies and the new approaches to solar, new things being used for. I don't know. It's always just intrigued me.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. What's intrigued me is your microphone and your beard.
Oh, is it just hanging out there? Is it rustling a little bit?
Just, we are in the leaves. We are rustling. How are we going to fix?
I'll do.
Actually, I got your face on my.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, I know. Word just for you.
Oh my God!
I can do this, maybe.
There you go. Do you have a hair tie?
Yeah.
For those of you that are listening, Cyrus has the most epic beard in solar. In fact, I challenge you to produce a better solar beard than Cyrus Lemmond's beard. There is no better beard in solar.
It's all gray from solar.
It's yeah. Cyrus is ripe 22 years old. He will be turning 23 next week.
I'll be turning 22 for the second time here before too long.
Oh yeah, I hear you, man. Good Lord, we're freaking rocketing through the time. Yeah. Okay, so we are hands-on. We're Mechanicsville. We're in Mechanicsville, North Carolina. But you are from what, rural North Carolina, like outside of Charlotte, right?
Yeah, North Charlotte. Yeah, born and raised. Born in Mooresville and grew up just north of Charlotte.
Oh, so you were bootlegging. You were working on your race car, and you were bootlegging on the weekends.
There might have been some of that in my family, allegedly.
Yeah, maybe in mine, allegedly as well. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we're hands-on with stuff. I guess I'm curious, like, where's your head when you're leaving high school, and where are you headed? Like, where do you think you're going with your career at that point?
Yeah, so I'll go back just a little bit further and into high school. I always had trouble just kind of sitting still and learning through, just being talked to and reading books and stuff like that. Had an applied technologies class, which was a very, very intro class to CAD. So we learned some of the theories behind CAD and designing and why you do stuff and very, very basic project management, like how your bid quality or quantity affects what you're going to get. And that really kind of intrigued me. I was, I didn't play sports or anything like that, kind of I don't really know what I was an average student, I would say. I definitely was not an exceptional student. No, that's for sure. Graduating, I graduated high school in 98 and immediately, well, I guess even before that, before I even graduated, I started working when I was 15. Got a worker's permit, started working when I was 15, changing oil in cars. I worked in one of those quick lube places and actually worked there for all the way through high school for the most part. Worked up to being like a manager or a closer or whatever, whatever it would be. Yeah. So, I could work underneath the car, changing oil, or on top, whatever. It didn't matter.
That was a way better job at high school than anything I had. I was bussing tables, man. Like, are you kidding me?
Same.
I came in making $6 an hour changing oil. That was my first. Wow. That was my rate at 15. $6 an hour. So after I'd already had that kind of taste of money coming through high school, And so I'd gotten kind of used to that, and that transition to a poor college student did not sit very well with me. I wanted to go back to work. So I did community college for a little bit at Central Piedmont. You're about to go on a college tour of North Carolina, guys. Just FYI, because
we should keep count and see if went to more schools, you or me.
And I got to see if I can get them all in order here. So I went to Central Piedmont for a little bit and stopped there. A good friend of mine through high school, his dad was I don't know what Larry's role was, but he was, like an office person at a place called Mechanical Contractors. They did commercial heating and air in downtown Charlotte. So I got in with them running ductwork and stuff like that while going to Central Piedmont Community College. Gradually just got to the point where I just wanted to work. I didn't really, want to. School was, ancillary as opposed to earning a paycheck. So I worked there I did heating and air for, I don't know, with them 2 years or so till I was about 20, and went to Western Carolina in that time. So I did a year at Western Carolina. Did okay. I mean, like, it was fine. I'm a very, as you'll probably tell by the way I ramble through my sentences and stories, that I'm very much an ADD person. Like, I kind of go wherever my mind wants to go. And it was the same way in college. I could not find a major that I wanted to sit and focus on, so I got all my gen ed stuff out of the way. And when it came time to pick a major, I was, so indecisive that I didn't do it. So I left Western and came back to Charlotte and worked for a little bit. I was still dating a girl in Charlotte while I was at Western, so there was a lot of traveling back and forth. And then I started working in a pizza kitchen, again, working with my hands. It's very fast paced, like you kind of just, that where you can get in a zone and kind of move forward. And loved it. Probably one of my favorite jobs I've ever had. No offense to Solar. It was like, I loved cooking. Like I cooked in a couple of restaurants through my, college career. And then got into UNC Charlotte and did about a semester there, maybe a little less.
Hold on though. Cause like I've always told people this, and you just like, you've kind of solidified what I've been telling people. Like, working in the solar industry is like working in the back of house. Like, the people that you work with in the solar industry are the same people that you worked with in the kitchen that were smart enough to get out and find something better for themselves.
That's right.
That's what it's like in the solar industry.
Yep.
So now we're going to Charlotte.
Yeah. So I went to UNC Charlotte for about a semester. And again, just could not settle on anything. So I lost interest, went back to work at a place called Saratoga Technologies, which was a plastics manufacturer. We made aftermarket parts for cars and stuff like that. But it was basically vacuum molding plastic. So I built the molds, and we would, put all the holes in them, and then slide the piece of plastic in the oven, put the mold underneath, and it would suck it down. And then I would have to bandsaw it all out, clean it up, and just doing that over and over and over. It was great because I was by myself. I listened to NPR all day. That was it. I mean, that was my jam. Like, I was, very much kind of I think that is where my introversion started. I was like, I like this. I like this kind of being alone and by myself and doing, responsible for my own part. What did I do after that? I went to, I left that job to go to Appalachian State University, which was the last stop on my college tour of North Carolina. So 4, for those of you keeping score at home.
I was.
I also did not graduate from college, but I did meet my lovely wife there, and we moved from there. Once I realized that I wasn't going to graduate, I got back into heating and air on a residential scale, and did it in Boone for a couple of years. Then we both moved down to Asheville, and I did it for another several years, probably 4 years in Asheville.
Okay.
And then my buddy Josh Neal called me. Sorry, I didn't mean to drop names, but Josh
No,
is a
you
good
can
guy.
drop.
So
Yeah, man. Drop away
yeah,
for
Josh is a
sure.
good guy. He went to school with me at ASU and called me up. He knew that we'd been hanging out, and he called me up and said, "Hey, well, I work for the solar company, and we are looking for people. Seems like you would be a good fit." So I was making $15 an hour doing heating and air in Charlotte, and gave that up for a $13.50 an hour job in 2009. Yeah, actually, August 2nd, 2009. So I just celebrated 14 years in the industry.
Wow. 14 years.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, it was kind of my wife and I remember having that conversation moving into solar. We had a kid, like it was 2009. So she would have been not quite 4 at that point. So, yeah, 3.5 or so. And I was taking a pay cut and knew I was going to have to travel some. And she fully supported me the whole way, which was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, why did you want to make that move other than the opportunity itself? Like, what were the deciding factors in making that move?
The like-minded culture was probably the biggest thing. I was still going to be able to do what I wanted to do, which was working with my hands, problem solve, take very rudimentary drawings and implement them into a mechanical room. It's basically here's vaguely how to do what you need to do. You figure out the specific. That's what I like doing. But the culture at the heating and air place that I worked at was a lot more. It didn't align with maybe my values as much as folks in solar did. Went out there and just met some good people. I went out and actually set in. They were doing an all hands meeting. I think FLS had hired. I was probably like the 30th hire for FLS at that point.
Wow.
And so I came in on a Thursday. They always did an all staff meeting on Thursdays where they'd get beers for everybody and they stand in a circle and they talk about the wins and stuff that they'd learned, and everybody share a beer and have a good time. And it was office staff and field staff, the commercial guys and the residential guys. So it was nice to see kind of that mentality where when you have a team meeting like that, it's not somebody just yelling at you what you're doing wrong and how much you're costing the company.
Yep, absolutely. I do want to say one thing though, because I have a tendency to paint this very rosy picture about this solar industry, especially the utility scale solar industry. And it should be noted that there are some shops. If you're like-minded like us, you probably wouldn't fit into those shops. Like those do exist in the solar industry as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's just there's a lot more of us here in the utility scale solar industry. There's just a lot more of just genuinely good people. I don't know how else to put it. Like people that care about moving together in one direction for the most part.
Yeah, and I've it's not. It could have very easily become watered down as this industry has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and for the most part, it really hasn't. There's still some young folks coming in, like out of school that have that glint in their eye, that hope for changing the world and making a better future, and that's great. I mean, I think that's what keeps this industry floating. That money.
Not until they work next to me. I just beat it all out of them.
Yeah, we'll break them. Don't you worry. But they come in.
So when you started at FLS, what was your role?
I was basically a glorified plumber. We were building solar thermal systems, solar hot water systems at that point. So basically preheating domestic water before it even reaches their water heater. We would try to heat it up as much as we can, and we'd have storage tanks and that we would preheat with a couple of closed loop systems. And so it was really just transferring heat from a loop that goes up to the roof into a storage tank, which effectively acts like a big battery. Then you take that heat out, cycle it through a heat exchanger that has domestic water on the other side of it, and then back in. It's just several loops just circling each other. But doing it on a massive scale, like for prisons and military bases and hotels and stuff like that. So, we were running 2-3 inch copper lines, several stories, dealing with, 480 pumps. It was cool. I loved it. One of my first jobs I did by myself for FLS was the Armory in Kingsport, Tennessee, and we did a massive radiant floor job for them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I mean, my back did not love it as much as my head did, but like I think we ran 3 or 4 miles of tubing between the main hall, and then they also had a garage out back that they worked, and we put radiant in both of it, all powered off solar. That was the first job that I came across J.R. Whitley on, actually.
No way.
Yep, he came out to that project.
So wait a minute, but this was a solar thermal. So Whitley, I didn't realize Whitley was big in the thermal too.
I don't know how he got involved in it. I don't know if somebody at FLS knew him and called him out for like a consultation or what it was, but yeah.
Gotcha. Wow.
Unless my memory's gone, again, it's been 14 years, so.
I can't even imagine doing solar thermal on that scale. It
was great. I loved it. We built the biggest one in the U.S. Back in the day. It was on a turkey processing plant, and we had 225,000 gallons of storage, hot water storage, that we would basically take that heat and dump it into about 100,000 gallons of hot water that they used for sanitation purposes after the line was down. We actually generated so much heat that I had to go back out there and figure out how to reroute it to preheat the scalder after they had killed the turkeys, and they dip them to defeather them. Yeah. So we dumped some extra heat in there as well.
That smelled great in there.
Oh my God!
Man,
yes,
it's fantastic.
Gosh, I don't. Yeah.
Just hot turkey guts.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's like, I unfortunately had to go to one of those one time, and it is just like, if you're not a vegetarian when you leave there, like, you are meant to be a carnivore.
Sure,
because that stuff is rough.
Yeah, it was in beautiful St. Paul, North Carolina.
So, I just realized that we're going to be here all night because there's a whole FLS story that we could unpack with you. Like, you've got the entire FLS history, and I'm afraid we can't even do that. Like, that we might, like, we can't go down that road tonight because that could be a whole episode. I think that we might have to do at some point. Just FLS, maybe even like an FLS reunion. That would be fun.
That would be fun. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I do have one.
It's already past my bedtime, so.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, wow, we really are creeping up there. But I do have one question that I've never really fully put together. When did FLS get into, electrical? Meaning more specifically, like the larger installations. When did the FLS start doing those?
I think full speed. We built a project on there's a paper plant in Canton, North Carolina, and they had a landfill out there. The first PV farm that I know of, as an actual farm out in the field, was that one, and I think that happened in 2010, 9 or 10,
wow,
something like that. But it was an old ballast mount project. Nothing could go in the ground with SatCon inverters, and I don't even remember what the modules were, but that was kind of a one-off. I would say wholeheartedly we got into it in 2011, 12, something like that.
Yeah. How'd that first one go? Or how'd those first ones go?
It was a learning experience, that's for sure, because
oh my God.
I did not fully understand electricity at that point. So,
that's a bit problematic. Although I think there's probably some people that we work with right now that also don't know how electricity works.
Right. I guess specifically I wasn't very familiar with how DC power worked. I knew enough about it, but AC power, we had run 3-phase and wired up pumps and motors and all stuff like that. But when we were building 600 volt systems then at that point, so it wasn't quite what it is now, but
right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So it's been a lot of learning by experimenting. Not experimenting. That's a bad word. Learning by hands on, I guess. Just what happens if you plug this wire into this? We didn't do that.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, because I definitely was. I was doing stuff early on in my career that there's no way I would ever do it now. I just taken on immense amounts of liability,
Oh yeah, out of sheer
Oh my
ignorance
God.
most of the time.
Yeah, right.
For me anyway. So,
Golly.
but
So okay, I do want to. I want to kind of just gloss over the rest of the career because I want to get into the solar after dark part of this because I've been looking forward to that for a long time. But the problem with that is there's so much career left to unpack. And I just like, man, like you lived a whole career at FLS alone, man. Like, what all did you do at FLS?
Oh, we did everything from, I mean, obviously installing, solar panels, the 4x10 AET hot water panels, to, we got into building tanks, plastic welding tanks together, as a cost savings. I did not, I installed a lot of them. I did not help develop it, but, they had a BTU, calculator that we would install a flow meter and a temperature differential on either side of the heat exchangers, and had to wire all that up, get in there,
Wow.
and go. I was a meter maid. Because we did not have the ability to pick up all that data that these BTU calculators were capturing remotely. So I would, once a month, I would drive from here or from Asheville to Greensboro out to Raleigh and just do a big circle and go by and collect the data.
I knew I didn't like you, meter maid.
That's right.
Oh my God! I just got a new nickname. I'm so happy about that.
But again, going back to my my introvertedness, that's it'd be me by myself all day listening to podcasts or listening to. I mean, that's really kind of where I got into listening to podcasts.
Oh yeah. That has been like I recognize that this job isn't for everyone, but that I am incredibly introverted, which we've talked about before. It's ironic that I want to be on a podcast, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I was nervous coming into this. I was like, I know you guys. Like, I've known you guys. we have bled, sweated, and cried together. I don't know if we did all
We've
that.
definitely.
We spent a lot.
I've cried
bodily
too,
fluids.
plenty.
Yeah.
Now we're getting to the after dark part. But like, even still, like, I don't know. Get on here and talking. It seems weird to me.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's been like this job, this career path has been perfect for that personality type. Like I was literally thinking, driving around Great Cove, like at the end of the day today, like this whole sailboat obsession I have is not far off from this career that I'm living now. Like I pretty much just float around the country on my own one-man boat, and that boat's a Silverado.
Yep, that's it. And if you want to go wander around in a field, you got 1,000 acres to go wander around and look at stuff.
That's right.
You can spend hours without seeing anybody, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to get back to the full career that you've lived, because you came in as, a technician, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. You were an O&M manager?
I was, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, I did, yeah. So at FLS, our structure was not nearly as compartmentalized as a lot of these companies are now. Like, we had a very small group of people of about 11 or 12 folks that we did the quality control through the course of construction. We did the commissioning, include like all the testing. We did VOCs. The only thing we didn't do was IRT, which the contractor did obviously before putting in, final terminations and all that. So we would go through and do all the quality. Once we felt good about that, we would do all of the electrical testing prior to energization. We'd push IP addresses into it. Like, it was the full gamut of commissioning. And then that same group of 11 or 12 folks was also the O&M team. So we had a very vested interest in building a quality product, making sure it was started up properly and fully documented so that our back end was easier, because we knew we would be taking care of these.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, it really did. That's probably been the most influential thing for me in my approach to quality control, is knowing that I have to, that somebody's got to take care of it in the long run, and not, I like to take pride in my work. And so, yeah, sorry, that might've been a little different than where you were going with it, but yes,
No.
I did do the O&M manager as well. So basically I kind of came in out of the field, drastically underpaid for that position, by the way, drastically underpaid. But so it goes. I mean, I was happy to be there. But we would monitor the systems through Draker. Like you remember, I don't know if you guys remember the old Draker monitoring platform. I don't even know if it's still out there. It might be.
It's taken over by Also Energy. Yeah.
Was it taken over? Okay. Yeah. So yeah, everything we had was on Draker. So I would come in at 7 or so in the morning. I'd run through monitoring all the systems, see what was where, figure out who I had free to go do things, and so I was scheduling not only quality visits and getting the core group together to go do commissionings, but everybody else that didn't have a clear directive for that day, they were on O&M. They were going out to fix down issues, performing routine maintenance, doing twice a year maintenance visits. Again, these aren't huge sites; they're 2 to 5 megawatts for the most part. But yeah, it was. Yeah.
It seems like such a good model, man. Like, I wonder why companies like Blue Ridge Power don't. I wonder why. Is it just not scalable? Is that the problem?
Yeah, I think that is it. I think that probably is it. It was. There was a lot of juggling and a lot of guys going, why am I driving over here when this guy's nearby? I was like, well, because this guy's doing this, and we got a system down that we had a like an uptime. We were, even with that small group and running probably 30 or 40 projects, we still had an uptime of like 97, 98%. It was pretty good,
Yeah.
So and like real uptime, not like uptime like some of these companies calculated, where you just calculate from the time you notice it's down till you respond. That's not, like this was getting it back online and pushing power.
I know those companies. Yeah.
That's funny. All right, so we wore all the hats at FLS, and then
a lot of them.
Oh yeah, most of them, and then FLS gets bought out. I imagine that in itself, like, were you already in a more focused role before the buyout, or was that just such a monumental shift for all of FLS? Like, not only getting bought out, but getting put into more compartmentalized roles.
Oh no, we ran the FLS model where everybody did everything until today. CCR bought us out.
Wow.
Yeah, and then at that point, people were kind of, the vast majority of us went to quality. I'm trying to think who, if anybody, went to
Green.
I think everybody went to quality.
Jonathan Green.
Oh, Jonathan Green. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he went to O&M. Yeah. But they did. They gave us the kind of not the decision. They kind of gave us an option as to where we wanted to go, but everybody stuck together and went into quality. That's when I moved into a quality manager position for the first time.
Yep. So
a focused quality manager position.
And so that part of your career was an interesting thing to watch from the outside, watching all the different mechanics that happened at Cypress Creek. And, I was just kind of tossed around. I worked on a lot of different teams, so I got to see a lot of different stuff, and it was interesting to watch how Cypress Creek ended, and how all the responsibilities seem to funnel in one very specific direction. Yeah. Do you want to walk us through your experience at Cypress Creek into present day before we get into this darkness?
Yeah. I'll try to make it quick too. I'll try to wrap up six years or so really quick.
Oh my God!
Actually, it wasn't that long. No, it wasn't quite that long.
It's close. Yeah, it's close.
No, I guess it was probably pretty close to that. Yeah. It was very odd to me. FLS was a family. Like I could walk into the owner's office and, shoot the shit with him for a little bit if I wanted to, or he'd come down and just hang out and drink coffee and we'd tell bad jokes or whatever it might be. Very much of like a all together kind of mentality. That went away the day that I went to Cypress Creek, and it's to no fault of Cypress Creek. It's just a much, much, much bigger machine to where it just couldn't couldn't run like that. So that was a bit of a culture shock, and it ran some folks away. Some folks didn't love it, and decided that it wasn't for them, and rightfully so. I fully respect that. What it did allow me to do was kind of again focus, as opposed to having to keep up with installation and operation manuals and worrying to talking to owners about why their projects aren't running. I could focus on quality, and that's where. I'm going to drop another name here, but again, he's a good dude. So, and somebody that I also went to college with, Max Isaacs. He was the director of quality for Cypress Creek whenever we came in, and he came in and we kind of discussed the role a little bit, and I was very happy with it. So took that on, got a small core group of folks together that again mostly consisted of the FLS guys that had come over, and we were assigned mostly DG projects. But I mean, we ran a bunch of projects at the same time, and it was we tried to keep them regionalized as best we can. But I mean, we were operating in North Carolina, South Carolina for the most part. But that's kind of where my Cypress Creek quality train started.
Hey, wait, because I don't think I was fully clear at the beginning of all this. When I got moved over to DG to work for Cyrus, I thought I was getting bumped down from the big dogs to the playground. And I didn't complete that thought because what I went from was one project in one location in which you could literally buy a house if you wanted to, because you're going to be in that one spot for that long. And all your problems and all your successes are located in this one tiny little area. But with the DG world, that same amount of wattage is now spread across an entire state or 3 entire states or however many states.
Yep.
And so not only are you having to cover that much ground physically, but if you've got 7 projects running at that one point in time, you don't have all the problems of one project. You have all the problems of one project times 7. Inevitably. You never have the perfect smooth project, right? That's why we have job security in the quality world. And so I went from, this hyper focused on one project world into Cyrus's world, in which what he was just talking about, he's having to manage a lot of these projects. And now, Cyrus, I just thank you for letting me clarify that, just how just astounding it was to just watch you manage that. Cause it was just so many cogs in that little tiny DG machine you had running there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm pretty proud of that time in my managing career, because we did a lot with very little bit. And one thing that I tried to do was I wouldn't assign you a project generally.
Mm-hmm.
I would everybody kind of worked on it together, and there's a big benefit to that because you're getting to see all these projects at all these different stages of construction. You're also getting to have all these different sets of eyes on these projects that are going to catch something. You're going to see something different than I'm going to see it, than Sean's going to see it, and bringing kind of everybody's perspective to the table, I think really does make up for a higher quality project, a more well-rounded, thought-out project.
Yep.
And our group was, I'm sure engineers didn't love us because we were constantly on the phone with them. We were questioning their decisions. We were like, we've seen you try to do this before and this didn't work. At this other project, why are we going to try to do it again here? But I think that my team was able to gain the respect of engineers enough to where, if somebody from, if you were to call them, or if, or John or somebody was to call them and be like, hey, this doesn't look right, they wouldn't just be like, hush it,
Get out of
guy,
here.
go
Yep.
do it.
Yep.
They would, they
Stop
listened,
and listen.
which was nice. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's a there, if you start your career in the solar industry, at some point you're gonna feel a shift in which engineers no longer dismiss you, but actually want you to tell them more because you are the missing piece of information that they need.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a really good feeling when that happens, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, essentially, that is the role of quality, right? We are the engineers' eyes and ears in the field. Like, they have designed something, and we're there to make sure it's built right.
Yep, that's right.
Sometimes they design something right, and we can just do it that way. Sailing, but probably just pissed off a bunch of engineers.
Yes, you had it coming. You had it coming.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
on the engineering team now, so I'm gonna stay quiet.
Yeah, well, we're all on. That's the irony of it all, is we're all working within an engineering.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're all in an engineering department right now. So.
That's pretty funny. Okay, so the quality manager thing is pretty straightforward. The phasing out of the EPC really had an effect on your career. Like,
It did.
Can you?
Yeah, that was tough.
I can talk for you, but why don't you tell it from your perspective?
Sure. So Cypress Creek decided. I mean, I wish I would have thought to get the dates down and all that stuff, but roughly 2019, right? 2018, something like that.
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah. Is CCR decided they were going to kind of back out of the EPC game, which means there really wasn't a need for a quality team. So we had a change in directors at that point to another guy who I love and does, I enjoyed working with him quite a bit. He saw the writing on the wall, knew he was going to get out, and asked me if I wanted to kind of take over. And I was like, well, hell yeah, I'm going to jump at the opportunity to take that role. Not really putting it together that, I'm going to have to let all these people go here in the very near future. But, everybody knew that it was coming. Like the person that I'd taken over for had laid the foundation work, which, was great. So it made it that much easier. But it sucked, there's a bunch of good people that I've had to be like, hey, unfortunately, it's out of my control. And everybody seemed to understand that, but it sucked to have to let people go because, those folks had, I had worked closely with the vast majority of them. It was a pretty big department, so not everybody had to work side by side with, but the vast majority of them I'd worked, pretty closely with. And I knew that they were definitely dedicated, hardworking individuals who had given up a lot, and to kind of have to be put in that position sucked. I tried to do it as gently as I could, I worked with HR to try to get as good a deals as we could for folks. But I mean, ultimately, it had to be done. Sean and I were actually some of the lucky ones that got to stick around a little bit longer into a, I don't even know what would you call that?
Call it construction management, but
that
was a loose term for sure.
Yeah. We would go out to projects that they were kicking around the idea of either procuring or doing constructability reviews on stuff like that. We would do that with one group of our team, and then also be on site managing, basically as an owner's rep.
Yeah, and that's ultimately
babysitting. Yeah, that's exactly it.
And that's ultimately what I was getting at, really, with both of you guys, but especially you, Cyrus, as far as how your career has gone, is from FLS to the end of Cypress Creek. It went from your career went from entry level technician to, at the very end, every bit of work that the remains of FLS was doing was literally being funneled through you and maybe 5 other people.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how that went all the way. You basically went all the way to the top within that enterprise that was FLS, in a sense,
Sure.
You were the last guy standing from FLS there.
Yeah, I think that is true. I think there might have been one other person who had been at FLS CCR. Sam was hired after I was. Jess Ingram is who it was.
Oh,
I'm not sure what she's doing now.
Yep. Yep. So okay, so Cypress Creek wraps up, and now you've entered into this new role where I have the pleasure of working with you as basically owners reps, right? Like
Hmm.
that's about the simplest term that we can put it. So
Yeah.
it's I don't know how to cap that off, man, as far as the conversation's concerned, because we're actively in it right now, and it's like it's tough to see where this is going, but it's like
I think you nailed it. I think that's it. I think it's to be continued because it's still developing. We're still, it's our department. The quality assurance department is a very new department for our company, and um, so while we have a good understanding and we're able to kind of draw on everything that we've uh, been through in the past to kind of get this department where we want it, it's still a fledgling department in a massive, massive company. So to be continued.
and to be continued. And really, like, my point is, like, I see so much potential just based off of what you've been able to do with your fledgling department so far, because now Cyrus has the entire country that he has to look after for this very large corporation. And
Giving me a panic attack.
well, the thing is like, just in what I get to see, which is a very small sample of that, the value added there, with not only your experience, but the team that you've built around you. It's just, there's a chance to trickle down so much experience, knowledge, and just common sense throughout the industry now. Like, your team is a very small team, but a very stout team. And like, I really hope they put everything behind you and allow you to keep building that out, because I think it's going to be so beneficial for so many different companies.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I hope that you're right. That's the goal, right? is for us to be beneficial and to add some good value to the company. I've gotten lucky. I've been able to hire, you and Jeremiah, some folks that I've worked with in the past. I've also found some great folks out on the West Coast that have a lot more knowledge in some areas that I don't have good knowledge in. So that's I'm trying to surround myself with people that are smarter than me, and then makes me look good, right?
Yeah, Sean, I did make the joke to Cyrus this week that I am Cyrus's special little case. Like, I am such a sore thumb on that team.
Admitting it's the hardest step.
That's right.
Your LinkedIn says that you're still field operations manager at Cypress Creek. So which one is it? People want to know.
That's right.
I think I'm still a Tech 2 at Cypress Creek on LinkedIn.
I'm trying to think of the last time I got on LinkedIn. I should update that.
Yeah, I need.
I've only been in my position 2.5 years, so let me get a little more comfortable with it. So.
Still filling it out.
That's right. Yeah. That trial period.
So I got one more for you before we get into the darkness.
Yeah, let's talk about blowing shit up. I'm gonna need a bath after hearing you say that.
Oh man! So if you were able to give any advice to young Cyrus, is there anything that you would do differently throughout that career?
Not necessarily in that. No, just more life advice more than anything, and it's still applicable to me today. Is be more confident. Be more I don't even know. Just be more confident in yourself. You're own it.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm still not good at.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I hear that. For sure. I think for if it was anybody other than Cyrus, step one, know your. Step two, be confident once you know your.
That's it. Yeah. Don't be confident before you know. Because you will get yourself or somebody else hurt.
Yeah, but there's plenty of those out there.
Oh that's true. That's true. And I think that's a good point. Maybe that goes back to the very beginning of that is try to learn as much as you can. Don't be afraid to try new experiences. Get out there, ask questions, ask a shitload of questions. Don't be afraid to say I don't know something. I still say it all the time. I'm not expected to do and know everything. I am expected to have people in place that can find or know the majority of the answers. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to do it all myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have
Sure.
that one guy. Go ahead, Sean.
Cyrus, you're a man of power, and men of power have targets on their backs. So, knowing that you have a target on your back, how long before Zach comes for your job?
Oh, I'm surprised it's not already. It might actually already. He's probably like, yes, I have a couple beers. Come on this podcast with. Let me get some bait. And then he's gonna
tell us some of your darkest secrets from your solar career. Just let me record them real quick.
Here, speak clearly into that microphone.
No, move it away from the beard. Away from the beard. I can't
Yeah,
hear
that's right.